Well, hoy hoy! October 29, 2020, day 247. We are listening to Nancy Sinatra again. I have like 5 of her records, and I felt like we haven't listened to her for a while. So I put Nancy in London one in. We're going to go over the books I finished in October, which was 5 of them. I listened to 3 of them. I read 2 of them. So let's start with the ones I finished first, and that was Chaos Rising by Timothy Zahn. This is a Star Wars book that was just released a few months ago. It is about the character Thrawn, who I didn't know anything about when I first started reading this book. I got all excited because this character was awesome and very strategic and very intelligent and just a great presence wherever he went. I texted my friends. I was like, "Hey, or my Star Wars nerdy friends." I was like, "Hey guys, do you know about this Thrawn character? Because he's pretty awesome." I thought since this book was just released, he was a brand new Star Wars character. Man, did I get some texts back from that. Apparently, he's a character that's been around since the 90s, and he's the most famous Star Wars character out there. He just hasn't been in the movies, and so I didn't know about him. I have read a Star Wars book before when I was really young. I picked one up from like a used bookstore, and I bought it for real cheap, and I read it, and all I remember about it was that there was a human that had to bathe like 3 times in a day because the aliens thought humans smell bad, so they forced this guy to take a bath 3 times a day. It was pretty funny, but I don't remember anything else about it. My mom found the book and she threw it away. I really like this book. I gave it a 3.9 out of 5. I'll read the next one. There was a scene in this book about when Thrawn took his supervisor to an art gallery, and he was explaining to her about what he saw by looking at alien art. So, for instance, if he's like looking at a bowl, he could figure out this alien's weaknesses, their strengths, how they think, how they process the information, if they're good, if they're bad. And he just went through like 4 or 5 different pieces of art, and that scene was awesome. The writing in that scene was beautiful. Thrawn is such a good character. The supervisor he was with was someone that you could root for. I gave it a 3.9 out of 5 because 70% of it was going over my head, but it was still fun. I listened to The Last Dog on Earth by whoever hopefully never writes again. This book caused physical damage to myself because I listened to it, and please don't read it. It's awful. The next one, out of left field, is Jaws. Who wrote Jaws? I still didn't have an Audible credit, so I still had to get a free Amazon book, and it was so I bought Jaws for free and it was written by Peter Benchley. Because I was like, if a book's made into a movie, then it's got to be good, right? I didn't know anything about this story. I haven't watched a movie before. I know that there's a great white shark that kills some people, and I was all for it. Actually, like a couple months before I read this, I read online that great white sharks they don't stop growing. So they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they just keep getting bigger. And then, so in a few years, there's going to be megalodons, or there's possibly megalodons already in the ocean. So I was hoping that this book brought that up, and it did. And I was all for it. The issue with this book is it's kind of boring. I enjoyed all the scenes where the shark was in. I enjoyed the ending when we get that new character that they hunt the shark on this guy's boat. That character was awesome. But in the middle, it's just humans. And there's an affair that happens that was ridiculous. There's a guy that's involved with a mob that's ridiculous. Just these plot lines that I felt like could be taken out and would make this book way more interesting. It was alright. I gave it a 3.2, I think, out of 5. And it was worth 9 hours or whatever, how long it was. The next book I finished, I've been reading it for about 2 months now. It's House of Leaves by Mark and Danielewski, and I finished this book on my couch. I had read like the first 300 pages in about 2 months. And then I decided I'm going to crack out the next 400 in a couple days. And that's what I did. So I sat on the couch and I read it every day. And this, I shouldn't have done that in the first place. This is not a fun read. This is not an enjoyable. You don't enjoy your life when you read this book. But I finished it, and I sat on the couch for 20 minutes, taking it all in, and then I went online to look up two big questions I had. I just needed them to be answered. And I read that the author had said to explain this book is harder than reading this book. Reading this book is difficult, but the author is right. Explaining this book is even harder. So I thought about four things that I can compare it to, and that is The Babadook, The Yellow Wallpaper, I'm Thinking About Ending Things, and Inception. If those four had a little 700-page book baby, it would be The House of Leaves. I'll tell you why I picked those. The Babadook, which I have right here, it's like one of 5 Blu-rays I have, because this movie is phenomenal. If you were scared by this movie, don't read this book. If you do not appreciate or understand the metaphors and just the meaning behind this movie, you'll never understand the metaphors and the meaning behind this book. The next one is Yellow Wallpaper. If you just finished this book and you're like, what? And didn't think about it for the next couple days, this is not for you. Inception. If you could not follow along with the time jumps that they did, with the different stories that were going on, this book is not for you. What was the fourth one? Oh, I'm Thinking About Ending Things. If you finished I'm Thinking About Ending Things and you did not go back to the beginning of the book and just think about the book differently, this book is not for you. Holy moly, this book is crazy. When I finished it, I didn't know if I should burn it or throw it out or keep reading it for 3 or 4 more months. I decided on putting it on my bookshelf and not picking it up for another few years. Hopefully I will stop thinking about this book. I tried to read this book to get me out of my depression state that this book put me in, because this is a Murphy Napier recommendation. She made a video of the 10 books that you should read in your lifetime, and this was one of them. So I bought it, and it's not for me. It's a beautiful story. It's for mothers, I think. If you're a mother, this is a great book. I'm definitely going to give this one away for Christmas. I appreciate it, I guess. I'm not going to rate it. But it did not put me out of this slump, and I'm still thinking about this book. Hopefully November 1, I can read this book, and it'll get me out of it. Hopefully. Be nice to me. Oh, if you're looking for a TV show on Netflix, watch Queen's Gambit. It just released last week. I watched it in 2 days, and I never watched TV. And I love it. I loved every episode. Toodaloo. Have a good day. Sorry about the last video. I don't know. I gotta stop talking. Have a good day.